Farms of any size could be and were seized by the government, the Republic, the Cubans, while land, businesses, and companies owned by upper and middle class Cubans were nationalized, including the reversion of estate to allodial ownership by Fidel Castro's family. By the end of 1960, the Republic had nationalized more than 25 billion worth of private property owned by Cubans for the benefit of the Cubans. That's allodial ownership. They claimed the estate. Now, when Rhode Island was on the scene, we knew we're not black, we knew we're not Indian, we know that we don't have to register our work, our estates, our trust with the United States Corporation Company. So we stopped doing that. Mm-hmm. So we stopped paying their taxes that they were putting on us for conversion. Mm-hmm. So we started, operating as independent contractors, not employees. You see what I'm saying? So we had our own businesses. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To take back what's already ours. We didn't ask them to give it to us. We didn't say, oh, can we open up a business? Oh, can we register our trust with this UCC, whatever? Mm-hmm. No, here's my trust. I'm operating within it. You have no say in this because this is diversity of citizenship. This is private. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Rhode Island was on the scene. We were operating the way we're supposed to be operating, right? This is what Noble Rhode Island has to say. Remember, we were talking about what's the economic gain of all this consciousness and all this information. Like, how do we gain from it? Yeah. Noble Rhode Island, right? This is what he says. No other one thing is more needed among us at this time than greater economic power, better positions for our men and women, more businesses employment for our boys and girls, and bigger incomes will follow our economic security. We shall be secure in nothing until we have economic power. Land. A beggar people cannot develop the highest in them, nor can they attain a genuine enjoyment of the spiritualities of life. Now this has to go back to 1933 when they took all the gold out of circulation and they started controlling the commerce. Mm-hmm. Now we're working for their private commercial paper to pay off a debt that doesn't exist that they're putting on us. So we're begging. In a nutshell, we're begging. And then we're begging because we have to pay this off, which we really don't have to pay off. Yeah. You see, so that's kind of like how you can see begging as. Mm-hmm. We keep begging for them to hold their people accountable when they're not going to. Yeah. So that's
why wouldn't we be able to privately contract workers to build a house for us and then that house just be ours?
It already is. Mm-hmm. We just have to know that's nationalizing, mm-hmm. right? So let's continue. Our men, women, and children should be taught to believe in the capacity of our group to succeed in business, in spite of the trials and failures of some of them. Trials and failures in business are by no means connected to any particular group of people. Some business ventures of all people fail. We have many men and women among our people who are qualified both by training and experience, who are shining lights in the business world of all the people. It is a sad weakness in us as a people that we have withheld the very encouragement, support, and patronage that would have made some of our worthy business adventures a grand success. Now that's kind of, the way I see that is kind of like we have no common unity. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like people say we support black business, and then at the same instance we'll say, well, black people don't know how to run business because they're not mentally competent. Mm-hmm. So, when you nationalize, you kind of have, the Mohr Science Temple of America, they're supposed to teach how you run a business. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is all supposed to be taught here. So our people know this stuff. It's just, everything that we have for our salvation is already there. Mm-hmm. We just have to be better administrators of it. We already have doctors. Moorish doctors who, think they're black, whatever. Yeah. We have physicians, we have librarians, we have businessmen. Just stop paying taxes to a foreigner on your land. Mm-hmm. Help uplift your people.
And first, we need to stop dividing and giving all these separate titles. We're all American, the true Americans.
Yeah, but that's nationalized.
And I feel that's something we can all agree on. Mm-hmm. I'm a true American.
But you have to know what American is. You would have to, because when we say American, some people include Europeans. They're not American nationals. Mm-hmm. They're not the blood. They can be American citizens through naturalization, but when we nationalize, we're just saying we know we're home. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to be a part of us, you have to know our law, you have to respect our law, which they're not doing, and then you get a green card from us. Mm-hmm. But we're not in that position.
And when you're saying you want to be a part of us, you're meaning Europeans.
Yeah, or any other foreigners. Mm-hmm. Any other, anyone from any nations in Africa, anyone, because right now the United States is doing that.
Mhm.
They're giving citizenship to their corporation company who's occupying our lands.
Mhm.
They're doing our job in a de facto status for their benefit, which suppresses us.
Mhm.
When all we have to do is flip it, like the movie Trading Places,
Mhm.
flip it for our benefit, and just operate it with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then
Mhm.
it's like simple as like hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's this simple right here. It's that simple.
Mhm.
Once you get it, and it's not hard.
Mhm.
It's really not.
It's as hard as they want it to be.
Oh, what I noticed, a lot of people like overanalyze things. Like when you said positions, a lot of people think being a Moor is a position, like a
Mhm.
title. It's not. It's Japanese isn't a position or title. It has a status, you know, but it's not. You're not like this mighty like law guy who can like you know like life hacks. It's not. It's no like
Yeah.
we're still regular people. You don't become a Moor.
Yeah.
You are. You're.
And people need to stop abusing and looking at it that way
Yeah.
and take it for what it is.
'Cause it's a birthright.
Yep.
When a Japanese person is born, they're born Japanese. When a Moor is born, he or she is born Moorish.
Mhm.
When a Cuban is born, they're born Cuban.
Mhm.
When a British person is born, they're born British.
Yeah.
You know, and we could argue about corporation companies and the actual name of the territories, but just for context, like it's your blood
Mhm.
line. You can't change it.
Mhm.
You can recognize it or not, but you can't change it.
Mhm.
I can't start walking around and saying I'm Japanese.
Yeah. It doesn't.
And I can't transact business in that name because it's not mine.
Mhm.
My ancestors weren't. We all hail from the same family, but when we say we're nationals,
Mhm.
we choose that position.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though it's not really a choice. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
you kind of have to see it for
You're
what it
born that
really is.
way.
Exactly.
Mhm. It doesn't mean you suddenly have a drop of blood and
Yeah.
the law doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
We're still law-abiding citizens with good
And that's
morals.
exactly what Drew Ali said. He's trying to bring our people, his people, back into the constitutional fold of government to be better citizens.
Mhm.
Now, better citizens of what? Not the United States Corporation Company. You can't be a citizen of that.
Mhm.
It's just people, to get into some of the corruption, people try to promote that like he was talking about that. No, you have to know which government he's talking about. Because the United States Corporation Company is not a government.
Mhm. And there's also this thing trying to be promoted and circulated that Moors are out for their own personal benefit and gain. It's just one, like every other person national in their own country, what is our birthright? And two, if you get to know any Moors, they're more about the health and the moral wealth of humanity. It's not.
Hold on, can I just stop you right there?
Yes.
Drew Ali said, "Help me in my great missionary work to uplift fallen humanity at large, not just Moors, because Europeans here are being subjugated too.
Mhm.
Other nationals are being subjugated too because we're not in our rightful place.
Mhm.
Us.
Yes.
It's on us, literally on us. And we just want to be black and Indian and point the finger at the European when our people are doing it to us.
Mhm.
But so I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah. That's.
But some Moors are opportunists, and they charge packages to for you can't. Your nationality is your birthright. It's unalienable. It can't be sold to you. You can't apply for it. You can't become it. You already are it.
Mhm.
Like that concept needs to be in people's minds.
Mhm.
You were born, just like you were born with 5 fingers.
Mhm.
That love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You were born with your bloodline. You can't get rid of it.
Mhm. And once you understand that, it's not any documentation that has the power. It's your birthright.
That's why Drew Ali said, Moors, be yourself. And if you look up the definition of nationality, is that quality or character which arises from a person's birth.
Mhm.
So how you conduct yourself.
Mhm.
Simple. That's why Drew Ali said, if I can just get you to think again.
Mhm.
And then go back to, return back to the ancient mindset of your mothers and fathers.
Mhm.
And then Nas, the rapper, he said the problem is we started thinking like the colonists
Mm-hmm.
till no bourgeois elite started dropping that consciousness. Because, there are Moors who are opportunists. The colonists, they came and they wanted to live off our birthright. And some Moors want to live, that's why bourgeois elites said, be careful, Moors. Somewhere in your own turbans and feathers will sell you back into slavery. Some of them want to live off our birthright. That's an issue. So those people who want to live off our birthright are those dirty Moors who wear turban and fez and talk about we're U.S. citizens and stuff like that. Those dirty Moors who claim to be black and promote that black thing. And those dirty Moors who claim to be Indians and promote that Indian stuff when they know we're not black, Indian, or colored. They know it. It's in the law book. And then, again, people are part and parcel. Chinese are from China. Japanese are from Japan. Australians are from Australia. There's no black land. There's no colored land. And India is really Hindustan, and you can't transact business in another man's name. So think.
Just takes two questions. How and why. Apply those two questions to everything.
Yep.
And look for answers, and you'll find whether or not it makes sense.
How do you nationalize? Recognize yourself. Why do you nationalize? For your birthright. Why else? Because we're under European occupation that but you keep calling it racism. We're just saying what it really is, but you think we're part of some belief or club or group.
Even if you look at who's in charge. How? Why? If you start asking those two questions,
and then you find this.
A lot of things.
You can't not find this.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the truth at? Oh.
Yep. IRS.
Why? Let's go into that. Let's go into that. Since you brought it up, let's go into that, right? Because most people think, IRS is government, right? They think they were obligated to pay taxes to the IRS, right? Now, what does the Constitution say? Article 1, Section 8. Congress has the power to lay and collect taxes, right? Congress also has the power to grant powers to other entities, delegation of authority.
Okay.
So as if I create a trust, as the grantor, I can appoint an administrator and give them certain power. That's Congress, right? In a nutshell, right? Here's what the attorneys for the United States have to say about the IRS. Here's what it is. And it's civil number 93. I'll just write it. Right? (9-3) TAC 405 TAC Echo, E is in Echo, TAC Echo Juliet Lima, Echo Juliet Lima, EJL, right? Civil number 93 TAC 405 TAC Echo Juliet Lima. And it's Diversified Metal Products Incorporated versus Tebow Company Trust, Internal Revenue Service, and Steve Morgan, right? The United States of America, through undersigned counsel, hereby responds to the numbered paragraphs of plaintiff's complaint as follows. The United States is without information or knowledge sufficient to form a belief as to the trust of the allegations contained in paragraph 1 and, so that's number 1, and then 2, 3, and number 4, denies that the Internal Revenue Service is an agency of the United States government. So is there any argument sealed from the United States, right? Corporation company, signed by their attorney. Is there a debate? Is there an argument?
No, that's as official as it gets.
Only between believers and those so-called black leaders who don't tell their people what the truth is. So now, remember, our people own businesses. They think they have to pay the IRS, which they're taking their finance from them by consent, because W-4 is an agreement. When you contract with the United States, you don't have to, right? Article 20, human rights, you don't have to contract with them. It says the right to association, and you can't be forced or compelled to associate. But they use color of law to make you think you have to pay taxes to them. But that's color of law. So enforce your human rights. Article 20, right to association. You don't have to pay them shit, because they're foreigners on your land. Now we're talking about heirship. So common law and heirship. Common law principles, descendability principles, heirship issues, heirship principles and trust law principles. That's common sense. So they're not government, so why would you pay them anything?
Yeah.
You can agree to that.
Well, of course they have.
And as their Christian black Indian property, you have to, because they're your masters. But once you say who you are, what your position is, like the Cubans, we don't. This is our land. Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
That's imperium. That's the right to command. That's nationality. That's the sovereignty that only exists with the nationals. Not no citizen who was naturalized, or some foreigner, European, or some foreigner, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sovereigns. See? All right. So back to the Cubans. All right. The Cubans amended their Republican form of government, formally nationalized all converted properties. I already read this. Particularly holdings of the United States Company in the nation on August 6th. Oh, hold on. Is this a repetition? It is. Oh, no, it's not. Excuse me. In 1961, the Cuban government nationalized all property held by religious organizations, including dominant Roman Catholic Church. Hundreds of members of the church, including bishops, were permanently expelled from the nation. Knowing of the purposeful miseducation and indoctrination in these areas of education that were perpetrated by the Roman clergy, remember 1902 General Education Board.
Mm-hmm.
Education also saw significant changes in Cuba. Private schools were banned. Now these so-called private Indian charter schools and black charter schools, they all have a 501c3 with the IRS, who isn't government. See, right? Excuse me. Private schools were banned, and the parents assumed greater responsibility for their children. That's rights of a child, and it states that the parents have the first right in the education of their child.
Mm-hmm.
But then the DCYF and the so-called state and all these corporation companies who are our oppressors say you can't teach your child it, mandatory public school, blah, 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 to keep us dumb.
Yep.
And then these blacks and these Indians are promoting that.
Did you get our European degree in order to teach your child at home?
When human rights of a child says you have the right as the parent, but you're supposed to know that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to recognize yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
That's why United Nations and all their declarations, they talk about nationality, but they can't nationalize us for us. We have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
The other nation states are trying to give us hints, but we have to pick up the torch and do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just complain that we're cold and then there's fire sitting right there, but we don't want to walk over there to pick it up because we want to drink and smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And sell drugs to our community and then complain about the European oppressing us when we're selling drugs to our own people.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're hypocrites and whatever, right? Boom. Castro sought to aid to other countries in the Caribbean and beyond, sending weapons to Algerian rebels as early as 1960. In the following decades, Cuba became heavily involved in supporting many nations and independent movements in many developing countries to help them nationalize and fight against the spread of the Christian Inquisition democracy, sending military aid to people in Ghana, Nicaragua, Yemen, Angola, etc. Speaking of that, there's a book, I can't remember the name of it, but Malcolm X was talking about how this very situation that happened here affect Africa. Mm-hmm. And then I just want to read this little thing that he wrote about nationalizing. Excuse me. Right, so that's pretty much, so let me just go back. So this whole thing was pretty much how Cuba fixed their issues, which we're in pretty much a similar situation.
Mm-hmm.
It was worse for them because, I don't know if you know, but like the so-called religious men were like molesting children there and stuff like that. Like, seriously. And then the Cubans were like, what the hell are you doing to our prosperity?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why they revolted. Same thing happens here. We already know they're touching little boys. We already know it, but we don't want to do shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to get angry, but that's that's kind of like, how do you complain about something and then not want to do anything about it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't know. I don't know if I'm not meant to get it or whatever, but that's what gets me mad. So that's kind of what, well, not mad, but that's what stirs me up, I guess. But that's an example of what nationalizing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They hold their oppressor accountable. They take their economic wealth back, which is their land. They teach their people. They don't ask permission to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get a license, which is permission. They don't get a mortgage, which is a debt. They don't get an Indian title, which isn't ownership. They recognize themselves. They look at the mirror like, oh shit, I'm Cuban and I'm home. What am I going to do about this oppressor on my land?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Example, I didn't bring the clippers with me. But the felony charges that I helped, another Moor get dismissed. We enforced the Constitution. We nationalized. No one died.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to kill nobody. Moors stand for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Mm-hmm.
We don't desire to kill anyone. Because we know, chapter 3, unity of life, we know we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
So we know not to harm anyone. Or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be honorable and nationalize. You don't gotta, start killing people. Which a lot of our people, so-called blacks, they always talk about killing the cracker and killing the white man when we're the white men.
Yeah.
But constantly they talk about the European. You're so quick to kill somebody, but you won't stand up for your brother, right?
Yep.
And you don't even have a reason. You don't even know why you're killing them. It's just hate. That's why Joy Lee said, "I want my people to learn to love instead of hate."
Mm-hmm.
You can't. All right. Let's bring it back. How are you going to fix the issue by killing someone else when you're complaining that your people are being killed? Doesn't death beget more death?
Yeah. You can't.
Now, there's a difference when you hold these people accountable for high crimes against humanity, genocide, treason, and then the people, the will of the people, deem whatever's fit. There's a difference between killing someone and murdering someone.
Yeah, you gotta start giving people knowledge so that they can regain power and understanding. And we not only need to have that, we need other ethnic groups to have that. Because if we start fighting,
we're gonna fight alone.
Yeah.
We don't have any allies because we can't.
Yeah.
We're not even allies to ourselves.
Well, not even that. It's just gonna be back and forth fighting.
Yeah, debates.
Mm-hmm.
When it's clearly laid out, there is no debate. Why would you ever debate with someone that the IRS isn't government? There is no debate. Why would you ever debate with someone that we're not black? There is no debate.
Yeah.
It's just when you're misinformed and you have this belief that you're so spiritual and black and Christian that the facts contradict your belief when you're supposed to step out of your belief to deal with knowledge and truth. That's why in the Bible it says, my people perish for the day for the lack of knowledge. This is knowledge. This isn't, I don't believe the IRS is government. I know they're not. You see?
Yeah.
There's a difference between knowledge and belief and faith.
And that's the difficult part, is getting someone to realize that there's things that they don't know and being willing to take a look or learn something that they don't know.
That's why what I loved most about Malcolm X or El-Hajj El-Malik Al-Shabazz was he admitted that he doesn't know everything, and in one of his speeches he admitted how whenever he finds truth, he's going to adjust to that because that's the path. See what I'm saying? Just admit that I know I don't know everything, but I know that. I can prove that. I just did. Now let's have a meeting of the minds and talk about what are we going to do about this.
We need to be open to learning so that we can grow.
Yep. Now, since, back to Malcolm X, right? Because, Castro was helping other Asiatic people in Africa, helping them combat this democracy, inquisition, antiquitarian Vienna doctrine of discovery stuff that we're complaining about that we keep calling racism is really not. So let's go back to what real men do, right? Right, Malcolm X said, nationalism is the wave of the present and the future. It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and the Ghanaians. Remember, Cuba helped the Ghanaians, right? It was nationalism that brought freedom to the people of Uganda and Tanganyika and Sudan and Somaliland. The Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism. And you and I will get it through nationalism. And then he found out that we're Moors, and then he got assassinated because he was about to free the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then hold the United States accountable for their crimes against humanity, their genocide, and their terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
But see what happens when a man is left out alone and he doesn't have other men backing him?
Yep.
Because of Willie Lynch?
Mm-hmm.
Because we choose not to stand up for our birthright?
Mm-hmm.
How many times do we have to go through that? Do that phase of these courageous men standing up, and then our people just like, oh, I want to be black and smoke this blunt, and you can go ahead and fight for my people. I'm going over here.
Yeah, they want to watch on the sideline and have all their luxuries.
Yep. Comfortable life.
Mm-hmm.
While our people suffer, die, get beat up, get murdered, get raped, get abused, and we think we have a comfortable life because you have a nice house and you're not eating noodles anymore.
Mm-hmm. And again, on the Willie Lynch, every Black History Month, they
promote that.
What we had to go through.
That's the psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
They notice, and that puts us in the we've been through so much, and we keep playing victim,
mm-hmm.
as if we didn't enslave Europeans first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole word slave comes from, and that can be found in many books, but I'm not doing this I'm not getting paid to do this, but Brother Abdullah, his book, he talks about how we enslaved them. And he references over 100 books.
Mm-hmm.
Not just on that, but you know what I mean? Like that whole, even that mindset, like that whole Willie Lynch mindset in promoting that's part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
To put the Europeans in a superior power in our subconscious mind, which they were never in any position
mm-hmm.
to have any type of power to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the real, like world history isn't really taught to our people.
No.
Like as an example, even the formation of this government, what we call the United States is not really the United States, right? It was created to end the thousands of years wars between us, Moors, and the various European Christian countries. Because historically when you read the word Christian, it's always referencing a black skin or pale skin, because black means pale,
mm-hmm.
a black skin European. Because that's predominantly what they were.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So to end that, the beacon light was us conducting business with the Europeans on our land. Now this is also when I was telling you about the letter from George Washington to our Sultan, right? Because this is part of the real history. Because this puts all of this stuff into even more context about how they're converting our estate and claiming ownership of it, and claiming that they found this and the founding fathers did all of this when we followed them into government. So, and then this also sheds light on the fact that we're miseducated. So, context. I feel like when people are learning this stuff, they don't really put things in its proper context, because everything's always connected. See what I'm saying? Like, this mortgage, the whole mortgage thing is connected to this.
Yeah.
Because this proves that they converted it.
Yeah.
Now, and this also proves that the school system is lying to our people, right? So this is letter from George Washington to the Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco, December the 1st, 1789. Great and magnanimous friend. So this is George Washington saying this, off rip. Have you ever seen any so-called Indian treaty where they greet these people like this? No, you haven't. Great and magnanimous friend. Since the date of the letter which the late Congress by their president. Aren't we taught in school that he was the first?
Yeah.
So what do you mean by their
How many presidents were there before him?
That's a good question. I'm not going to answer it for the people. They can find that on their own. It's also in my book, right? We don't want to give everybody everything. Which the late Congress by their president addressed to your imperial majesty. The United States of America have thought proper to change their government and institute a new one agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. In short, what he's saying is, here's how we're going to conduct business on your land. Here's a courtesy copy for your approval. If you have the proper context. That's what that's saying. The time necessarily employed in the odious task and disarrangements associated by so great though peaceful revolution will apologize and account for your majesty not having received those regularly advised marks of attention from the United States which the friendship and magnanimity of your conduct toward them afford reason to expect. So he's saying, I'm sorry